China for New Zealand wool has certainly come off the boil.
Any reason for that?
Well, it's interesting because on the top making side, which is a process that mainly use the longer type wools in the 30 to 34 micron bracket, there seems to have been a fashion switch away from New Zealand wool, and our market suffered accordingly.
You're vulnerable, aren't you?
Some of these things can last a shortish time, but you cannot guarantee that. So what's happened is the premium that was paid for those microns has virtually disappeared and come back to be the same cost as the usual carpet types. Those wools will still go out, but there won't be the premium price that the Chinese paid in the past. So that's a new development. So we're hoping that things change, but you can't be sure of that. So the Chinese market for New Zealand wool has certainly come back. I think the exports to China, the last figures that I saw were down something like 16% on last year to China.
Yeah,
and that would be a main factor.
But you are also rushing around the rest of the world, opening new ones.
Correct. Well, pushing new ones. Like the Australasian market has been quite good. A lot of New Zealand wools are still used locally and in Australia, and that's been relatively buoyant. As I say, the European thing has come back. It's stabilised and come back, which is absolutely important in these times. The Chinese are still in the market, but they're not the force that they used to be. And I think there's more reasons than this fashion thing I was talking about. I think they have their own problems in China at the moment. Credit conditions seems to be a lot tighter. Their economy is going through a rebalancing. I think our clients are finding it a more challenging environment for themselves over there. So when you put all that into the cookie jar, it's just a more challenging, difficult times. And of course, the last thing we want is the currency to be
absolutely
going higher as well.
I guess reading between the lines is that steel thing is an excuse, not a reason.
Well, we haven't heard a word about that.
That's good.
And I'm heading up there next week, actually. And when you go on these trips, it's all embracing thing. And if there's any substance to that, I'll certainly be finding out about it. But we've got no evidence whatsoever.
Yeah, I think it sort of fizzed up and died pretty quick.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of politics, wasn't it?
I think so.